Hi there, it's June. That means it's Pride Month, and during Pride Month I'm reading books that celebrate everything LGBTQI+. I grabbed a few ebooks from the library to read, as well as the physical books that I mentioned in one of my shorts for this channel. So I'm trying to read quite a few books during Pride Month that celebrate so much diversity and celebrate our community. This book is called Keep This to Yourself, and it's written by Tom Ryan. It's a young adult book. I thought this was a really great read, and it's so great that there's young adult books out there that have such positive gay characters. They weren't around when I was a teenager. We didn't have that in young adult fiction, and I think it's so great that the generations now can read books with characters they relate to in a very positive way. This is also a really great thriller and mystery novel. Tom Ryan did a really great job in just giving us this feeling of suspense and almost a sinister feeling almost right through the book. And that's all down to the backstory, because this book is very much focused on a serial killer. Not an active one in the novel in the present timeline, but a year ago. And that past of the whole town, in a very small town, just is overshadowing the whole plot. And you just, even though there are scenes where people may not be talking about the killer at the time, it's always in the back of your mind. So that adds so much tension and just that sinister feeling all through the book. Let's talk more about the plot now. 1 year ago, before the present timeline in this story, this small town was in the grips of fear because there is a serial killer in the town and he ends up killing 4 people. Mac, our main character, his best friend Connor, was the 4th victim of this serial killer. He's still affected by that, and when they should be celebrating their graduation from high school, Mac and his friends and his classmates, Mac is still quite obsessed with wanting to know who the killer was, because the killer was never caught. He comes across a bag in his room because Mac and Connor used to swap comic books. And the day that Connor was murdered, he left comic books at Mac's house for him to find in a bag. And then Mac never looked at them because he didn't get a chance to before he found out that Connor was murdered. And then since that murder, he tucked them away and he didn't want to look at them because he thought if he did, it'd be one of the last things that he kind of broke that bond with his dead friend. But in this book, so 12 months later, he decides to look at them, and when he's looking through one of the comics, there's a note in there from Connor, and it says, "Come meet me by the caves after dark. I need your help. Don't tell anybody." And from there, that drives Mac to find out what's this note about. Did that mean his friend knew who the killer was? Was he onto something? Was he murdered because he knew who the killer was? Is the killer still in the town? And so Mac wants to investigate secretly to find out if he can see who the killer is. And that adds all the suspense and all the thrills into this novel. And it's done really well. These teenage characters are so well created and so well crafted. They're so believable. And I truly engaged with each of the characters in this novel. So as Mac's digging for the truth, he comes across another boy called Quinn. And Quinn is the cousin of another victim called Jade. And Quinn's just down visiting his aunt in the town. Mac and Quinn soon form a friendship because Mac convinces Quinn to help out investigating on the case. That friendship soon turns into a romance between the two, and it's a very sweet romance written very well, I think. And they're both teenagers, and it's a very you get a very sweet and light feeling from them, and it's really a joy to read, actually. And I really think both characters are quite special. But the romance isn't the main focus of the story. I mean, it is important because it's positive, but the main focus is, of course, the mystery and that suspense. Because I found this novel really suspenseful. They find themselves, in danger as well. Is Mac being stalked by somebody because he feels like somebody's following him at times, and even sees somebody following him, but he can never find out who. And then there are other things as well. They go to this house where the killer supposedly stayed or lived out temporarily while he was killing people. And they find some evidence there that, point to the victims and point to the fact that, is there somebody stalking them still around, because someone draws something on the dust in one of his car windows when he's somewhere, and there's just some other things going on that make him think that someone's following him still. Those moments are really gripping, and they keep you hooked into the book and keep you turning those pages really quickly. So you want to find out two things in this book. You want to find out who the killer is. Will they find out who the killer is? But you also want to find out is their relationship going to last? Are Mac and Quinn going to stay together? Is anything going to drive them apart? Will one of them be killed? Is that going to happen as well? You just never know, because there is danger in this book, there's suspense, and there's that overall sinister feeling that's always there. And those three things really stuck with me all through this book. So Mac is our main character, and he's a very sweet character. He's very shy. He lives in a small town. He's not confident in himself very much. He's not athletic. He's not sure what he wants to do with his life either. He's not sure what he's good at. So he's in a kind of an awkward place and an awkward phase in his life. And you see a change in him when he meets Quinn. You see part of him getting more confident and opening up. And that's a really good thing to see, I think, in this character. It's the growth of the character through the book. And I'm glad we had that growth, because it's a sign of a good character development, and it's a sign that the writer knew what he was doing when he created this character and he plotted the book well. So I'm very, very glad for that. Quinn is another good character, and of course he's the romantic interest for Mac. But in his own right, he's a good character. He's clever, he's resourceful, he's a bit different to Mac. He's more outgoing, he's more athletic as well. He seems more confident as well in himself and his sexuality. And he kind of draws Mac out of his shell a bit. And that was the character growth we needed. And also there's character growth for Quinn, because you get the feeling that Mac's kind of a balance for him, a bit of a rock to keep him down to earth a bit. And I think you see that throughout this book, both Mac and Quinn, they're good for each other. They almost fit with each other like a hand in glove. And I think it just shows that the author went out of his way to really develop this positive relationship between Mac and Quinn. There are other teenage characters in this story as well, and they're not as prominent as Mac or Quinn, but they're there, and they're Mac's friends from high school. Two are Ben and Doris, and they have an impact through the story. So Doris is quite clever, but she's also very cynical and a bit sarcastic as well. And she's also quick-witted. But she's a very caring character as well, and you see through the novel that she kind of sticks by Mac when other people don't. Sometimes she supports him, but sometimes she's gives him the awful truth in a way sometimes, and that's really important for this character. And I think that Doris was an important role in this book, and really well done. Ben is more of a jock, but he's very loud, very brash, but he's also very emotional, a bit high-strung in this book, and you get the feeling it's down to the fact that it's 12 months after the murder, and he's got some feelings about his best friend, because he was best friends with Connor as well. His best friend, being a victim and the killer not brought to justice. And he has a hard time dealing with his feelings. He's probably not as expressive as the other characters, and his feelings come out in different ways. So you get that impression from Ben. So the characters, they're all quite different, but they all feel real, and they all do feel like teenagers, because they have quite sharp highs and lows, like you imagine teenagers do. And they don't have that filter that a lot of our adult characters or adults in real life do, where they can kind of moderate their feelings a bit, and the highs and lows aren't as sharp. So I think that the author had a really good take on what teenagers are like, especially in stressful situations. And I thought all the characters were really well done. I thought this was such a good book, and so positive in a young adult novel to have those characters. I rate this a 4 out of 5. Love the book, love the characters, love the setting, love the fact we have that sinister feel from the serial killer 12 months ago in the timeline. Love the fact that even though that serial killer may not be the focus in every scene, just the writing and the story makes you think about it the whole way through. So the whole time you read this book, I guarantee you're going to be thinking about that serial killer from 12 months ago. You won't be able to get away from it until you finish the story. I've reviewed other young adult novels on my channel and will do so in the future. If you don't want to miss out on future videos, check out my channel and subscribe. Also, check out the young adult playlist on my channel. It should be on your screen now.